Shabbat Shalom, everyone. This is Joe Dumont, SETIMOON.com. Welcome and welcome to the new people here today. What you're going to find out here at SETIMOON.com that we allow you to talk. I don't know who came up with that crazy idea, but you're allowed to ask questions, and I have to sometimes find an answer or tell you I don't know. But that's the thing we do here at SETIMOON.com. We allow you to talk, we allow you to discuss, we have a midrash, and we even allow some of you or all of you to come on here and teach. But we want to know what you're teaching so you're not teaching any heretical hearsay stuff. We have certain rules here. We will not tolerate any conspiratorial talk. I don't care what you believe about it. Take it to your own website, do your own talk on it, but we're not doing it here. We're going to talk about Torah here and only Torah. If you want to ask a question while we're talking, or you can raise your hand. And Sombra, if you want to go over that, can you go over that? Just tell them how to raise their hand there.
So it's under the reactions button. If you don't see the reactions down at the bottom of your screen along the bottom bar, go to more button and you'll see reactions in there. And from reactions, you can press the raise hand button. And as you can see at the top of my screen here, there's a little hand. And when we see that, we will interrupt ourselves at the appropriate point and give you an opportunity to speak.
Okay, thank you. So, and then I generally see the hands, but the comments in the side, you can make comments anytime. Randy's monitoring that, and he will tell me if there's something important that I need to address. Otherwise, I don't always see them because they just go too fast for me. So today, what I want to do is I want to go over everything that's happened here in the past week. I am still in the Middle East. I am in right now, Aqaba, Jordan. I came to Israel August 29th, I believe it is, roughly. I think it was the 29th. And we were going to have a tour. In case you don't know it, we keep the crescent moon and the barley to begin the year. So we were a month ahead of everybody this year. And we kept the feast, and I brought a tour group over and we toured around the land. And on September 4th, we took them for a one night at this special place to let them experience this place. So a lot of the things I show you is one of the things I try and get you to do is experience the land. Take you to different places to eat. And Randy is a problem because he doesn't eat anything that's green. So we have to find places that only serve meat, and they're not always available, and he gets grumpy when he doesn't eat. But we took the group around. We had a good tour. We had a lot of fun. And on September 4th, we took them to this one special place. Now, before I tell you about that place, because we're going to get to it, I'm going to back up because I don't know if all the new people know what we're talking about, but this is also for those that are watching on the recording later. We teach about the sabbatical and jubilee years. We show you when they are. We show you how to prove them. We show you where we are in that count. We are in the 120th jubilee cycle. So right behind me in my background are the jubilee cycles. That's the 7 millennium. Let me share my screen. Let me just make sure I got it ready first. And I will show you.
Would you open in prayer, brother?
Yeah, that.
Sorry, man.
No, I get going all the time. I'm sorry.
No worries.
Yes, thank you. Please. I believe it's Holly doing the opening prayer today. My bad.
Okay. Heavenly Father, we just thank you for another day that we get to spend in your presence. We get to rest with you and in you. And Father, we just ask that you just continue to bless us and that you just continue to expose your truths to us, Father. Each and every one of us has gone through a lifetime of challenges where we were put through the fire and you were always there. And you've brought us to a time such as this, bringing your people together, each of us a puzzle piece, each of us a part of the body. And Father, you are the glue that holds us together. And so I just ask that you just continue to make those divine appointments so that we can get to know each other and we can be a part of this time. Father, I ask that you wrap your people in Israel and around the world in the palm of your hands, and that you keep them safe, and that you tell them when to flee and when to stay. And Father, I ask for blessings upon the leaders of the nations, Father, and that they will repent and turn from their wicked ways and turn towards you and the truth in your Son, Yeshua, because he is the way, the truth, and the life. And Father, I just continue to ask that you open up the paths for Joe and this Kahal, and that they have ears on the other side to hear the warnings of the watchmen that you have put in place. And Father, I thank you for all of the healings that we see happening. And I just continue to ask that you just breathe your breath into every single one of us, and that you renew, that you restore, that you rewire, and that you heal us so that we can continue to walk in your footsteps. Father, be the light into our path. Be our shield and our armor during times like this. And Father, I just ask that you just continue to take the scales off of those people's eyes whom we love so much, so that they can join us and that they can seek the truth. And Father, please just watch over the nations and those that love you. We thank you for just continuing to reveal your truths. Each and every one of us is receiving. We thank you for this time. We praise you and we glorify you and exalt you in your beautiful Son, Yeshua HaMashiach's name, who shed his blood for our sins and the sins of the world. Amen.
Can you guys hear that?
Yes, sir.
Did you?
Okay, so I'm going to leave that on so you can hear it.
Is that Rockets? Joe, before you say anything, I think I got Facebook up on my page. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and turn that off, and then I'm going to find it where I can put it on your page instead, if that's okay. Anytime
Yes.
during the service. Okay.
Yep, just carry
Yeah.
on. So
It's on
what
yours,
I'm-
Randy.
So what I'm doing here, what you're going to hear is the alarm going off that's been going off beside me since this all started. And last night and this morning is the first time it hasn't gone off until just before lunchtime. And it was a good night's sleep. But I want you to hear it, and it'll go off during our time that we're talking. And that's what we have had to deal with for the last week, the last 7 days. Thank you, Holly, for the prayer, and Shane and Randy are going to remind me when I need to do something else in case I forget. And I appreciate that. And I do get going sometimes. Okay, there it is. So I'm going to show you, share screen. This is the thing that we teach here at sightedmoon.com. It's our basic teaching. So I can make this bigger. We are currently, this is 120 Jubilee cycles right now. So we are in the year 2023, right here in the top of the black. It's a sabbatical year. It's a Shemitah year. This is 1996 was the last Jubilee year. 2044 is the next 49th year, with 2045 here in the purple, completing the 120 Jubilee cycles, and the start of the 7th millennium, and the first year in the 7th millennium is 2045. So the Jubilee year and the first year are the same year. You can argue with me, I don't care. We have 89 or more sabbatical and Jubilee year proofs. This winter, Ella I gave Ella a little job to do. I didn't think she'd get it done. She came back 3 days later. She had 100 tombstones that she discovered online for me. 60 of them I think I already had, and there's 16 more that are brand new to me that I did not have before, which all line up, all of them match. So we have a total of 89 or more, and I haven't added them all up yet. I've been trying to write that book, but I haven't had time to do it, which confirm the timing of the sabbatical and jubilee years. And for those of you that believe in the sages, Rambam himself, Nehemia Gordon took me, did a podcast with me in 2018, and he sprung this on me in an effort, I believe, to try and trip me up. But what you couldn't see on the radio show was that me doing a happy dance, because Rambam confirmed, let me just scroll down to it. In the year 1177, Rambam said that the year of the Shemitah year was the year before in 1176, which is what we have here. And Nehemia went through all these, the way that he figures out what year it was. I did my calculations. We both came up with the year 1176, which proves that Rambam, who edited his own book, confirmed his own work, confirms that we are on the right understanding of when the sabbatical and jubilee years are. 2 Kings 1929, which is a 701 BC event. This year you shall eat what grows of itself. Next year you shall eat what grows of the same. And the third year you shall plant and sow and harvest. That year that happened was 701 BC. And from 701 BC, you can count every 7 years to hit every sabbatical year throughout history. And in 700 BC, you can count by 49 and hit every Jubilee year going backward and forward in time. So that's what we teach here. That's what we prove here. And when we understand this, certain things start to happen. When you understand the holy days of Leviticus 23, certain things start to happen. When you combine the sabbatical and jubilee years together with that understanding of Leviticus 23 and what the holy days mean, prophecy begins to leap off the pages. I did not go out to set dates. I did not try and figure out dates. All I wanted to know was when the jubilee year was. And that began, my understanding began the year that I met Nehemia Gordon, 2005, and Michael Rood in Lansing, Michigan. And they were talking about the name of God, and they were talking about the crescent moon to begin the month. So I had to readjust my understanding to start doing that. As soon as I did, this understanding came to me. So that's my background. That's how this got started. And I've been seeing since 2005, the Daniel 9 prophecy. You'll see that we have the 70 here and 69, and they go all the way back to the Exodus, which is when Moses was given this command to go and get the people, not Ahasuerus, not Cyrus, not Xerxes, not any Persian king. The command to go and get the people in Daniel 9 was to Moses. 7 Jubilee cycles later is here, and after 7 Jubilee cycles, Messiah the king, or Messiah the prince, will show up. That's when King David was born. So we had that right according to the Daniel 9 prophecy, and then 62 Jubilee cycles later, which is what a week is, it's a Shabua or Shavuot. 62 Jubilee cycles later on top of the 7 brings you to 69, and that's 1996. Which means that the 70th week of Daniel, or the 1996 till 2044, is the 70th week. Now, if you want all the details for this, we explained that in the Remembering the Sabbatical Year of 2016 book. It tells you how to prove the sabbatical year with just 12 known dates that I had at that time. I've now got over 89. And the 2300 Days of Hell will explain the Daniel 9 prophecy, showing you that 2020 is the middle, or in the middle of the week that Daniel 9 was talking about. The word Shabua is what the word weeks is. And if you look up everywhere that that word weeks is mentioned, it's the feast of Shavua or Shavuot. So we know that it's a 49-day cycle. That's what Daniel was told to hide it. He hid it in plain sight. If you don't obey, you won't understand. So that's why, because as soon as I started to obey, Jehovah started to show me what it meant. It's not that I'm super smart. I'm not, but he showed me what it meant. So it says in Daniel 9 that in the middle of the week, Brandy, can you pull that up? Daniel 9, just read that for me. In the middle of the week, Daniel 9:27.
And he shall confirm a covenant with many for 1 week. And in the midst of the week, he shall cause the sacrifice of the offering to cease. And on a corner of the altar, desolating abominations, even until the end. And that which was decreed shall be poured on the desolator.
So we started to wonder what that meant. We knew what the middle was. We had the Leviticus 26 gives us the curses. So we have right here on the top of this, Leviticus 26:14, the first curse is terror, which is what I call terror. And we had terrorism starting to take place. We had the severe or extreme weather starting in this second cycle, starting 2003 to 2009. Each curse is added to the one before it. So they're compounded. It's not one and then the next one, and then after that, the third one, and the first two go away. They're all added, and it gets worse and worse and worse. The third curse is pestilence, and the fourth curse is pestilence, famine, and sword. Well, I am a student of the Bible like all of you, and I'm studying, I'm trying to learn, trying to understand. And when I came to the sword part, it naturally, to me, all of a sudden, it means a war, fighting. So I assumed that he's talking about fighting starting in 2020. I own that. I was wrong. But the sword means het reshpeh. Het reshpeh is the Hebrew word for sword. It's also hadef, which means dry or drought or parched land. It's an expression used to describe the time period between the 10 days of awe. From the Feast of Trumpets to the Day of Atonement, that is the period of hadef. And we demonstrated it here that that's when you can go and pick up a weed that you can't pull out of the ground at any other time of the year because the roots are so stuck in the ground. But during hadef, you can take the weed by 2 fingers and pull it out of the ground easy. So I showed to the group some big gnarly weeds that you wouldn't even go near. And I put 2 fingers on it, I found a spot where I wouldn't get pricked. And I put 2 fingers on it and it just pops out of the ground. It was so easy. That's hadef. That's how dry, how parched the land is. But that has a bigger meaning for the 10 days of awe, because those 10 days of awe are 10 years of awe. And during those 10 years of awe, the earth is going to become hadef. Hadef. The earth is going to become so dry that nothing will be able to grow on it. So that's the meaning behind this in understanding the holy days. Now, we've understood the holy days, and then we understand the 10 days of awe because they're from the Feast of Trumpets to the Day of Atonement. We understand the Day of Atonement lines up with the year 2033, as it was in the days of Noah. So I'll just show you this quickly, as it was in the days of Noah. And we're doing this for the new people. Those people who have been here, this is singing to the choir, they all understand this already. As it was in the days of Noah, 1656, right there. So as it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be in the last days. Well, what's that mean? The eating, drinking, partying, buying food, selling stuff. You guys all did that. That means you're evil, because that's all those people were said that they were doing. They were buying, they were selling, they were eating, they were drinking, and they were getting married. You've all done that. Does that make you evil? No. He's talking about a Jubilee cycle as it was in the days of Noah. This is the 4th year in the 6th sabbatical cycle in Noah's day. And then it goes on to say in Luke, as it was in the days of Lot. So we go to the days of Lot, and that's the year 2047, which is the year before Isaac was born in 2048. So you have to know the chronology. And that's the 3rd year of the 6th sabbatical cycle. Now this, it doesn't say this, but I'm just going to show you this while we're here. In the purple here, I have the 7 years of plenty during Joseph's time. And in the red, I have the 7 years of famine, which end in the 3rd year of the 6th sabbatical cycle. But we can't use that as evidence. I'm just showing you. So now we compare that down to our time today. And in the 3rd year of the 6th sabbatical cycle, I have 2033. Now Noah lined up with 2034. Noah was at Passover, and Lot was again at Passover in 2033. What I've done here is I've taken the 8th day feast and lined it up with the year 2045. The 7 days of the Feast of Sukkot are the 7th sabbatical cycle. 5 days before that brings us to 2033. And I start to see a pattern develop. And 10 days before that brings us to 2024. As it was in the days of Noah, so shall it be in the last days. Am I right in that? I waited back and forth. I put it down on my charts, and I just, let's see what else develops. Because the fall holy days got to fit in here the same way that Passover does. So that's how we get that. That means that this Haref would be starting in 2024. Now, in most of the things that I see here, Jehovah's always starting a little bit earlier. He's like the guy that gets out of the block before the gun goes off. But that's what I see, the pattern I see. So the word sword, coming back to the 4th sabbatical cycle, is haref, it's drought, it's dryness. In 2018, this drought began to set in, the rivers began to dry up. And I just saw a picture of the Amazon River today, and I posted it on Telegram. If you're not following me on Telegram, I cannot keep up with the world situations anymore. There's the alarm going off. Another rocket just got fired. That's actually 14 rockets just got fired. Okay. Do you hear that? Randy, I'm looking at you, somber. Yeah. Okay. So I just want you guys to know this goes on here all the time since last Sabbath. So we are talking about the 4th sabbatical cycle. Now I said the sword is now drought. I learned that because one lady took me aside and said, Joe, you need to look at this. So I looked at it, and of course she's wrong. No, she was right. I have to change my position. I am not dogmatic in what I believe here. I'm trying to find the truth. Now, some people come along and they say, well, you said this. Yes, I said that 5, 10, 15 years ago. Today, I'm saying what I understand today. Paul said we look through the glasses darkly. And that's what we do. We look through the glasses darkly. But when prophecy is history, it's behind us, we can see it much clearer. We got to try and figure it out, but we can see it much clearer. So Randy read Daniel 9, right? He says, in the midst of the week, he shall take away sacrifice and offering. In the middle of the Shabuah, the middle of the Jubilee cycle, if my understanding of this is correct, in the middle of the Jubilee cycle, he should be taking away sacrifice and offering. Where's the temple? We got no temple. Okay. We have, again, these things still bother me because I was in Jerusalem when they were being blown up over top of my head. So You're hearing it as I hear it. This is going on in Jerusalem all the time. And I want you to understand. So in the middle of the Jubilee cycle, what ceased? What was it that stopped? It's no longer prophecy now. Now it's historical. What happened? We're looking at 2020. What happened? Are you guys getting the picture of what's going on in Israel right now?
Hey, Joe.
Hi, Nehemia. Wow,
How's it going?
thank you for coming.
I'll tell you, I'm running here on fumes because my wife and I left Jerusalem in a hurry and we traveled for, did we make it to 45 and a half hours. Bear in mind, at the time we left, we'd already been up for 6, you got up at 5 a.m. So I woke up a little bit later. So let's call it, 60 hours or more that we'd been up. I guess she'd been up for 65, 70 hours. So yeah, so we both got to take some sleep. I'll just
Just so you know, Nehemia, we
Yeah.
got over 52 notifications right now and counting of rockets being fired in Israel. And I
Wow.
want the brethren here to hear what we've been hearing every day since last Shabbat,
mhm.
and how the alarms, even if you're not in the line of fire, you're
Yeah.
now looking up. And then when I was in Jerusalem, you were in Jerusalem with me, the big boom and then the sonic boom.
So
And then
one of the booms, and I remember it happening. Well, I don't know which one it was, right? Because there were 10 booms. But after the 10 booms, I want to say this was Tuesday, but I don't even know what day it is now. The only reason I know what day it is now is because of Shabbat. One of the booms. Let me back up, guys. My wife Linnell and I, we were in Israel for about 2 months. She was actually there longer than me, 2.5 months. She took a Hebrew class before I got there, and so the tail end of it, the war broke out. I was sleeping in bed, and my wife says the sirens have gone off. And I'm like, yeah, those are always kind of like these warnings. You don't really have to worry about it in Jerusalem. They always miss. And so then the sirens went off again. And I'm like, okay, that's never happened. Not when I was there, at least, let's put it that way. So I wake up and I pull up Ynet, which is a Hebrew news website. And, we've been invaded. And then they're saying, yeah, you really need to get into your bomb shelters. I have had that apartment in Jerusalem for 2002, 2003, so call it around 20 years, a little bit over 20 years. And I'd never been in the bomb shelter until last Shabbat. So we went down there and there was a family already down there.
Has it only been a week?
Yes, can you believe that? This is day 8.
I can't believe it.
It's hard to believe it's day 8. It feels like it's been going on for months,
I can't
years.
believe that.
Yeah,
it's been a long, long week.
it has. So we're down in the bomb shelter. We start to hear these explosions. Actually, I think we heard the explosions before we went to the bomb shelter.
We heard the sirens.
And well, yeah, but then we actually heard explosions. I'm like, okay, that's interceptors. They're actually.
And it's above us.
And then we look outside and there's what they call scars. It's like it's like this puff of smoke sort of where the Iron Dome interceptor takes out the rocket. And I'm like, that's literally right above us. Okay, we're going to the bomb shelter. Let's go check this bomb shelter out I've never been into. And there was a family in there the next time the siren went off. And we ended up going there a lot into that bomb shelter. And so one of the explosions, I believe this was on Monday or Tuesday, whenever there was a whole lot of them.
Randy, you got the speaker pinned, please? Okay, thank you. Carry on, Nehemia.
So one of the explosions fell in Abu Ghosh, which is a Muslim Arab village outside of Jerusalem. We heard the explosion. I don't know how many miles it is from where I live in Jerusalem, but not that many.
It's in between you, where you were and where I was. It's in between us.
Abu Ghosh? No.
No.
Abu Ghosh is northwest of Jerusalem, or northwest of where I was. but due
Mhm.
west of Jerusalem on the road
Yeah.
to Tel Aviv.
On the way. back,
It's
yeah.
actually where the ark was. It was the house of Oved Edom the Gittite was in Kiryat Yearim, which in today is Abu Ghosh. There's actually a convent or monastery or something built on that site. When the archaeologists found out where it was, like, you know, the Catholics bought that spot and built a memorial there. It's interesting because it has a statue of the Virgin Mary, and she's like somehow, I think she's standing on the ark because she's the new ark, right? Right. The first Torah was carried in the ark, and now she's carrying the new Torah. That's the Catholic message, right? Whatever. So that's Abu Ghosh, with the bunch of monasteries and convents inside this Muslim village. So the rockets fell on Abu Ghosh, some of them, and they wounded a boy. He died today from his wounds. A Muslim Arab died from the rock because they don't care. They just want to kill people. What they really want is for us to kill people. That's really what they want. So they can bring in the entire Muslim world against us. And I know that sounds like some crazy conspiracy theory, but they actually say that. There's recordings of them saying, of Hamas leaders saying, we want you guys to kill our civilians so that we can show the world how evil you are.
Yeah. Can you just mention what went on yesterday? When you came here and
All right. Well, wasn't that 2 days ago? I don't even know when that was. So let me start with Thursday night. I get a message from someone, I can't say
I
who.
had just gotten home from visiting the survivors.
Yeah,
Uh,
you tell them.
the survivors are down, they've told where they are, so I mean, it's in the media. My Nehemia's two sisters, my sister-in-laws, are both in the
One's an optometrist, the other's a professor of optometry.
so they were there to help survivors. When they walked out, they only had their pajamas, right? In Gaza, when they were taken out by the military, a lot of times they only had a few seconds to get in their safe room. They didn't grab their glasses. So there were people there with terrible prescriptions that literally could not see. So they were there to make glasses on the spot. They made those glasses, they handed out contacts. And I have to tell you, some of the biggest, like Johnson & Johnson, people donated all those types of things. So I had been up at 5 a.m. so that we could get there early in the morning to the Dead Sea where they were staying. And
so she drove my two sisters down from Jerusalem and near Jerusalem to where the survivors are. Now, you've heard about 1,300 dead, and there's, I don't know how many are in the hospital. At one point, there was 2,000 in the hospital. I'm sure a lot have been released or died.
so I went to interview them.
But thousands have
Take their
survived.
stories.
So yes, she went down to help my sisters and then find out what's going on down there. I actually spent the day Thursday packing because we were planning on leaving on
Monday night,
or
like
something like that. Yeah.
Tuesday morning.
We had a flight that we purchased probably 10 months ago or something. We got like a round trip ticket. We were just on the road for 4 months. Right, we were 2 months in Israel and 2 months before that in Europe. So this was a flight we had gotten, I don't know, in February or something. And then, all right, so I get a phone call. She's gotten back. She's been out since 5 a.m. She gets back around 8:30, and I know because I checked the timestamp. So it might have been some reason I thought it was 10:30, but it might have been 8:30. I mean, I guess it was 8:30 because I got first a text message from somebody, and I'm like, well, that's nonsense. What are you talking about? So I get a phone call, and I'm told, if you never took anything I said if you never took anything seriously that I said in your whole life, you need to take what I'm saying right now seriously. If you don't get out tomorrow morning, Friday morning, you may not be able to get out of Israel for months. And I said, what are you talking about? And she said, I can't tell you. So this is someone
before that, you had told me that you would be leaving next Sunday. And that's what I understood.
No. This is before that, Joe. We were originally supposed to leave Monday night, October, I don't even know, 16th. A flight we had gotten 10 months ago or something.
They canceled it.
Thursday night, October. Well, had they even canceled? Yeah, had they canceled it at this point? I don't even know.
They canceled our flight, and didn't we have another flight? I don't remember.
Oh, yes. So we had another flight that was going to go out of. No, you're right, Joe. So we had bought a second flight because American Airlines is like, good luck, guys. So we had
That's
bought a
right.
flight on Qatar Airlines.
No, with El Al. We had a flight with El Al to get
No.
out.
No,
No?
no. Qatar
I don't
Airlines
remember.
for Monday. No, now I remember. So we had a
Okay.
flight. So you're right, Joe. At that point, our American Airlines had been canceled. We had a flight for Monday, and I said, no problem. We'll drive down. We'll drive down on Sunday, a nice leisurely drive,
Oh, yeah, that's right.
and we'll cross over the border at Aqaba, and then we'll spend the night in a hotel, same one Joe is staying at. And then Monday morning we'll head to the airport. No, and the flight was like at 2 p.m. on Monday. So like
4:30, yeah.
4, whatever it was. It was in the afternoon. So we were gonna, very casual morning was the plan on Monday. Then I got a call Thursday night. First a text message at 8:30. Actually first at 8:29. Another one at 8:30. I'm like, okay, that's nonsense. Then I get the phone call that says, if you never took anything I said in my life, in your life, whatever, seriously, you need to take this seriously. If you don't get out Friday morning, you might not get out for months. Now, seems in retrospect, we probably could have gotten out. There's people getting out all the time, right? With flights that have been chartered by the US government.
Which
where
we
they-
have a spot on. by the
Yeah,
way.
we got an email when we were landed in Dallas that says, hey, you can get out on this flight. I'm like, all right, we're already here. And I actually let them know, the US State Department or whoever.
Uh-huh,
and
Department of State.
Yeah, and they actually responded and they said, thank you for letting us know that you're already out. So Thursday night, I get this information. Linnell arrives back. We had just ordered a pizza from Papa John's. Half of the pizza had mushrooms, the other half had corn, which
Because corn pizza is the best pizza in the world.
it's an Israeli thing.
And they do it in Israel, and it is so
So I ate the
delicious.
mushroom half and she eats the corn half.
That's right.
And I have a little bit of the
Yeah.
corn half too,
I
to
eat
be
a
honest with
little
you.
bit of, I eat 2 pieces and the rest I give to my husband.
I admit nothing. But in case she wants more than 2 pieces of corn, they don't do a quarter, they do halves. Anyway, so we had just ordered a pizza and I'm about to eat the pizza and I get this phone call and Linnell, were you on the phone or something?
And I just, let me interject here just a little bit.
Yeah.
So everyone understands, this is Thursday night. On Tuesday, on Wednesday, there's a rumor that Hezbollah is massing forces up in the north and they're about to invade. So and at this time, we're still trying to digest what just happened down in Gaza. We cannot believe it. The world cannot believe it. The horror of what's coming out of there is stunning. So that started Sunday to understand that I can't believe it. Now Hamas or Hezbollah is massing on the Lebanese border. There's skirmishes starting. They got 250,000 rockets. And I'm starting to get a little scared. And I'm saying, I'm out of here. I got to go.
The thing, Nehemia, you have to tell Joe, because when we saw him last, all he saw of me was on the phone scrambling to try to get out of the country. But you have to know why. Joe, you have to know the background as to what happened there.
Yes.
We couldn't talk about it there. Nehemia, you should.
So
Where's
what
Joe? Where is he? Where are you physically?
Just, I want to bring people up to speed here
I know.
because that was Wednesday when I had that. And I came down, the borders are closed. The Allenby Bridge is closed. The airport is in total chaos. Their bombs are landing at the airport, near the airport, overhead from Gaza, and people don't know what to do. And people are, do we go to the airport? Do we not? Do we go? They're going to send our flight's been changed. It's been bumped. And I got to get out of here. I can't, I just got to get out. And I think Nehemia said all the borders are closed. And I thought,
They had said that they had said that the Jordan border is closed.
yeah,
And it wasn't until you told me you got across that I went and then bought a ticket on Qatar Airlines for Monday. But that was before I got this phone call Thursday night. So I get the phone call Thursday night and the person said, I can't tell you, I'm not even supposed to tell you this. And what that means in Israel is this person knows someone who's in the intelligence community. And they have not a theory, but they have some piece of intelligence information that something big is about to happen. Now, did that actually happen? Seems like it didn't. I don't know. But we didn't, and we said that at the time, that what this person's telling us might turn out to be nothing, but it might also turn out to be something. So
Now, you guys, all of a sudden I hear you're coming Friday morning. And I was supposed to be flying on a plane Friday morning out of here. But they jacked my price from $500 to $7,900 for the flight. And I said, the heck with that.
wait till you hear our story.
Uh-oh.
So Linnell,
So now I'm staying here and I'm saying, okay, I can get a flight on Monday for $500. And I had no idea that Nehemia was coming. But when he came through the door, I got emotional. I don't know why, but I did. But I also seen there was panic in their face. Both Linnell and Nehemia's face was panic, kind of relieved, but not, they weren't relieved to be here. And then now carry on with your story.
so it's Thursday night, and this person is telling, I'm still on Thursday night, Joe. It was a long night.
I can start if you want, Joe.
No, I got it.
Carry on.
No, I'm sometimes
teasing.
referred to as short story long. It just is what it is. So so it's Thursday night, and I get this phone call, and I was shaken, and I don't get shaken easily. My wife will tell you that I go into what
He's
other
fearless.
people would tell you are unsafe, crazy situations,
He's fearless.
and I'm not concerned. But when this person tells me what she tells me, and I can't share all of it. So Linnell was on the phone, and she gets off the phone, and I said, we have to go.
He turns around, he says, we have to go. I said, I know, I'm packing, honey, because my husband is preparatory. Literally, he's a preparatory kind of person.
I pack a week before.
Like, he's all packed. Like, he spent all day packing on Thursday for us to leave on Monday
No, on
night.
Sunday. Sunday, we're going to drive to a lot.
All right.
So, and honestly, I'd started packing days before that,
He
right?
said, no,
I was just
we have to
finishing.
leave.
I'm like, no, we have to leave
I said,
now.
when? He said, we're leaving
Tonight,
now.
Tonight we're driving down to a lot.
He said, now.
And where are we going to stay? We'll sleep in the car.
That's what he
Because
said.
the border crossing opens at 8. Turns out, by the way, the border crossing opens at 6:30. That's not what it says on the website. On the website it says 8:30. But it actually opens at 6:30. If we'd have known that, we'd have done things a bit differently, but it doesn't matter. So we start driving at around 10:30 because it took us some time to get organized, and we don't need to be there until 8:30 in the morning, we think, right?
This is 10:30 at night you left.
10:30 at night, we're actually
Oh,
on the road.
Okay, and let's talk just a little bit. In order for us to get where we're going, we have to travel through the West Bank in the middle of the night, which I know is not a safe area, but I only travel it during the middle of the day. But this is the middle of the night. The last time I came through this area, because remember, I've been going back and forth during the day. And
Let's
I
explain to everybody, when you say the West Bank, tell them you got to drive past Jericho. And you got to
Ramallah.
No, we're
Yeah.
not driving past Ramallah, but
not
Ramallah is up north, right? No, yeah, I mean, you could drive past Ramallah. Where we were driving,
Yeah,
the main danger where we were driving by is, well, I mean, it's not just, it's
it's the terrorists.
El Azaria, and there's a few places. One of them is Jericho. There's a few places you're driving past that are ruled by the Palestinian Authority. That means the police who have M16s want you dead. Just think about that for a second. These aren't like lone gun terrorists. There's police who want you dead, and they don't kill you on a daily basis because they've been ordered not to for now. And then we just find out they've been ordered to kill us in a coordinated planned attack in one of those areas, right? I mean, Gaza. So we get on the road, and Linnell says, wait, we shouldn't drive all the way to Eilat. Let's go out of Tel Aviv. So I start heading to Tel Aviv, really to Natbag, Namal Tufa Ben Gurion, the Ben Gurion International Airport. It's about 20 minutes from Tel Aviv. And Linnell's on the phone with El Al. First she calls El Al. We had been on hold with El Al for hours the day before. Nobody ever answered. So she's trying to get El Al. And then I say, why don't you call the New York? Should have done that a few days before. Why don't you call the New York brand? Because they're the only airline that's still flying. So she calls and she gets some guy in New York. And I'll give you the short version of it. There's a flight with 2 seats, but one is standby. So we don't know if there's actually a seat for you. Tomorrow morning, at 10 a.m. and it's $26,000. And Linnell says, I'll put it on the credit card. We'll worry about
How
it later.
much?
$26,000 for 2 seats, only one of which is
If
guaranteed.
they had both been confirmed, we'd have been out of
We'd be
there.
paying that off for years to come.
I
So,
don't care. I just had to get.
but because they said, well, one of them is standby, I'm like, I mean, they're talking 10 o'clock. By 9 o'clock, I'm going to be in Jordan.
And I didn't know you were there until we were on our way.
So we turn around and now we're driving not from Jerusalem. We're driving back to Jerusalem. You could actually go down Route 6, Highway 6, and get to a lot faster. But I was told by the person who had called me, when you go to a lot, take the Arava road. Don't drive through
You
Beersheba.
didn't tell me that.
I know I didn't. Because there could be terrorists on the roads and there could be rockets. Go through the Dead Sea and the Arava. So we drove back to Jerusalem, go all the way down to the Dead Sea, hang a right, and then head straight for, and I'm driving the whole time, trying to stay awake. Linnell is reading me Bible passages and things like that, trying to keep me awake. And she's like, tell me about, this manuscript you studied. She doesn't want to hear about the manuscript. She wants me not to fall asleep. So we eventually get down to a lot, and I'm like, when do we get to eat that pizza? Papa John's is in the back calling for me with 4 pieces of mushroom. And
He's
Tell me
waited
it's still in the
5
back of the
hours.
car when you parked it.
what's that?
It's still in the back of the car when you parked it.
No, actually what happened was, so when we get to the
The crossing.
we get to the border crossing and it's not open. So we park in this parking lot, and where people, I guess, have crossed and left their cars, because you can't drive into Jordan. I guess some
Right.
people can, but most wouldn't do that, or can't do it. So so at one point I'm like, I gotta lay down. I gotta close my eyes for 30 seconds. So I'm playing Tetris in the back of the car, moving stuff around so I can push the seat as far back as possible. And I put the pizza on the top just for a minute. And later we drove off, and that pizza's got to be in the parking lot. So I need my Papa John's.
But
No pig,
you
no
have
pig.
to tell him what happened
Yeah.
the next morning. When the reason we were so freaked out when we got out of, I thought that my husband was going to disappear and I would never see him again.
So it
You
turns
came,
out,
so hang on, so just so everyone knows, they come across the border, so the border at Eilat is very simple to cross over. You go through the Israeli side, you get a stamp, then you walk, I don't know.
Might
100
be
yards,
for you.
for Canadians it is, and for
but
Americans it
then
is.
you walk over to the Jordanian side, you have to buy a visa or sign a paper for a visa so that you stay so many days, and then the price drops down. But I'm Canadian, it's right.
Yeah.
And I'm not thinking Jewish. I'm not thinking
Yeah.
any of that stuff. I'm just thinking, this border is open, I can go through here and get out. Now, something happened to you when you came through.
So I was in Jordan back in 2007, and you just crossed the border. It wasn't a big deal. Now, when I leave Israel, by law, because I'm an Israeli citizen, I also have a US passport. But by law, I have to show my Israeli passport when I leave Israel. And they charge you some fee, and they give you a little piece of paper. It has pink strip on the top. It's the pink paper. And when I never looked at those papers before, right? You actually don't get them in Ben Gurion Airport because you're getting right on a plane. But if you do a land border, then you get the little pink paper, which replaces the blue paper for when you're in the country. And so the little pink paper has 3 letters on it. And yours, I bet, Joe, said CAN. Linnell said USA. Mine said ISR. So when I get to the Jordanian side and show them my American passport, they said, where's the Israeli one? This shows that this paper says you came through on, and they want to see the pink paper because they know you just walked from the Israeli side. It says you came on the Israeli one. You can't come in as an Israeli unless you have, they call it a guide, but I looked it up while I was waiting. It's a minder.
A what?
A minder, like in the old Soviet days. You can't go anywhere in Jordan if you're an Israeli unless you have a guide that's always with you, accompanying you, and you pay him to be with you.
Ours was named
Hassan.
And they brought him in. They literally called him to
Yeah.
come.
So we're sitting there waiting, and he shows up, and he's like, okay.
They start from when we walked in. When we went, there was
Go
no
ahead.
problem getting across
Well, the Israeli side
the
was
Israeli
fine.
side.
Yeah.
But when we started to go into the Jordanian side, and it took us, I guess, an hour and a half to get through. When we started putting our suitcases through the luggage scan, it was just one guy, and he looked at us, he said, "So you have drones?" I said, "No, we don't have drones." He said, "You have drones in your suitcases." I said, "No, we don't
And I have a lot of podcasting equipment.
I'm like, "We don't have drones."
I have like, recording devices, and so they see all this electronics. I think maybe it's wrong. Anyway, well, let's try to shorten the story. I know I'm not good at that. So long story short, short story long, we pay this minder 70.
No. We ended up in different rooms. They took Nehemia in
Yeah.
a little room. So he's in this little room, and I don't know what's happening. I'm outside of the room, and I'm thinking, look, and nobody's smiling, by the way, guys. These are not nice, friendly people. Everybody has
They might be
weapons.
very friendly, but they were like, okay, this is a
They-
problem. We have an Israeli
The
who showed
whole
up.
thing is filled with smoke. Everybody's smoking.
Yeah.
And so you're sitting there wondering what's happening, and they give me this piece of paper. And this piece of paper has my name at the top, Mrs. Linnell Gordon, and if the next one is Mr. Nehemia Gordon, and his is X'd out. So I was welcome to go in, but he was not. And when they took him back in that room, I saw people talking on the side. I saw them bringing other people in, and I thought, he's going to disappear, and I will never be able to see him again. And that didn't happen. Amen.
So
They got this minder for him, and
So the minder basically, I said, look, I'm going to the hotel for 3 days. My flight's on Monday. I'm not even going to leave the hotel.
and they're like, "Where else are you going?" "You're going hiking." Because I heard that part.
Okay. I'm like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm just going to be in the hotel, and then I'm going to go straight to the airport. And so they give me a piece of paper, this document that says you're allowed to be in Aqaba in the hotel for 3 days, nowhere else.
You can't go
And then you
anywhere.
can go to the airport in Aqaba, and then Amman, you have to show this piece of paper that documents where you were. And normally they would have to have somebody follow me, but he's like, okay, come on, he's got an American passport. I'm gonna tell the government I did this, but I'm not gonna, like, that was my impression, that he's like, I'm gonna tell the government I'm keeping an eye on him, but I'm not gonna waste my time. I'm just gonna take the money. So they let us go in, and the concern we had is there were a lot of people involved in this. There was the guide. There was a bunch of different border officials. There was some police involved. This wasn't just 1 or 2 people. And we don't know which one of these people is going to call up his friend in Hamas and say, hey, I got an Israeli over at that hotel in Aqaba. Go pick him up and give me my money for the fee so you can have a hostage.
So you said to me,
Mhm.
and I didn't understand what you're talking about. It didn't.
This is what
register.
I was talking about. And
You
that sounds
said
like
to me
some
that
crazy conspiracy.
What did you say?
Yes,
again?
it
That
did.
just happens, right?
It did. It sounded like
on the-
you said I could disappear in the middle of the night. I said, well, then switch beds with me. I'll sleep in your bed, you sleep in mine. But
Yeah, but they were going to find me if I was there.
I didn't know any of this had taken place. But I
We
knew
couldn't
you
talk
guys-
about it
And
while
again,
we were
when you
there.
said that, let me tell you what else happened. So, I mean, that's not the only thing that happened. After we got out, it was,
No. So you're jumping ahead.
no, I'm still at the
Okay, the border crossing. Okay, this is
So,
Aqaba at the border crossing.
After this happened, when we're going out,
Yeah.
we walk out, and there's these other 5 men that approach us. Okay, these other 5 men, and
Who the guide had spoken to.
right, and they're all looking at us sideways, and they're like, "We're going to take you to your hotel." And I said, no. I was just, what had happened in the meantime, when we were going through the crossing, I got a text message from some friends of ours who had escaped through Jordan. They were down on vacation at the Dead Sea on the Jordan side. And she said to me, "Linnell, God woke me up at 3 a.m. this morning and told me where to pick you up at the border." She said, "We left at 4 a.m. I don't even know if I told you that yet.
No.
Okay. She said, "We left at 4 a.m. and we will be there when you get across the border. We will be there to pick you up." And so these guys want to put us in these separate cars. And I'm like, no, 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 no. I'm so sorry. And Nehemia's like, let's just go. And I'm
And
saying,
we've been on the road for 4 months, so we've got 3 big suitcases,
And-
2 carry-ons, and 2 backpacks. Got a lot of stuff.
Nehemia says,
We got 3 penguins.
let's just go with them and get to the hotel. It's 10 minutes away. I said, absolutely not. I promised our friends that we would be in the car. And this guy is looking at us talking as we talk back and forth. And Nehemia looked at my face and what I said and realized I was not going to cave. He was like, okay, I do whatever my wife.
Well, and here's the part that I didn't tell Linnell until just now. So one of the guys is talking to me and he said, why did you need a guide? Nobody needs a guide. And what he's asking me is, are you Israeli? And these are taxi drivers who make, $200 a month. They
Yeah.
turn into Hamas. They maybe get $10,000 and Hamas has a hostage, and it's a twofer. Well, maybe 3-fer, a Jew, an American, and an Israeli, or American and Israeli is what they're looking for. So I'm thinking like, uh-oh, does he, so I tell him, oh, he just made some arrangements for us. And the guy's looking at me like he doesn't believe me. I can tell from his face. And I'm like, this is not good.
And so the guy comes to me. See, Nehemia and I haven't talked about this. So he doesn't even have all the story from what happened to me, and I don't have from him. But this guy says, oh, so after I said, I'm not leaving until they come, they'll be here in 16 minutes. He said, they'll be here in an hour. I said, no, they'll be here in 16 minutes. They're on their way. And the guy, one of the other guys said, so you're with a group? And I said, oh, yeah. I said, we were a big group together. I said, we have a big group of us who were together. I said, and most of them have already, gone along, but, there's a bunch of us that are tagging along and we're all getting together. And they're coming to pick us up and we're going to all go meet at our hotel. He's like, oh.
Now, bear in mind, the people who are picking us up, I've never met them before in my life.
They say that. It was crazy, the things
Yeah.
they said. But the big deal to me was this, Joe, I was worried that they would disappear in Nehemia. So when I got in the car with our friends who were still not in the country yet, but when I got in the car with them, I said to the guy, don't lose that taxi. And Nehemia, they drove so fast.
Yeah.
We caught up with the taxi in front of us and it wasn't you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why when we got to the hotel, I was calling you desperately, honey, where are you? Where are you? I don't see you. And you're like, I'm at the hotel. He was at the hotel.
See, and then I just got the email
were
that
there.
you're on your way to the hotel. I said, what? And I scrambled up to the hotel and you're just coming through the x-ray there. And
bear in mind, part of my thought was I can't announce on Facebook or the internet that I'm going to Aqaba or Doha, because under the circumstances, there are people who actively would love to kidnap me.
yeah,
Being an Israeli citizen and being an outspoken supporter of Israel's right to exist. So I'm like, okay, I'm usually like very open about where I'm going and what I'm doing. And I'm like, and I was also told by the person who called Thursday night, I wasn't supposed to tell you this and you can't tell anybody else. So I'm like, okay.
can I just tell you that right now, because I knew you guys were freaked out when you got here, but right now, as you're talking, my hands are shaking because I didn't know this stuff. I'm still thinking Canadian. I'm still thinking not Jewish. I even said that to you here. I don't think as a Jew. I don't think about these things, but we need to think about these things as Torah keepers. And
Need my backpack?
my hands are shaking here now as I'm listening to you because I didn't realize the danger.
It was, Joe, it was really nice to see you. We had a really good time at Shabbat, but I could tell you that this time.
You see that menorah?
Yeah.
The ancient symbol of the temple, the ancient symbol of the Jewish Star of David. That's a modern thing. It goes back maybe 200 years. In the area that says Czech Republic, it goes back a little bit longer, maybe 700-800 years. This is the ancient symbol. And it was this reason that they tagged me and we said, we need to know where he is at all times. Well, why do you need to know where I am? I'm a tourist here about to take a flight out.
Here's the other thing that
doesn't sound kosher to me.
Here's the other thing that was told to me. I had people that had told me this, actually they told me, I found out while I was in Jordan. right before I got to the airport, I had some friends that had gone, that had taken a trip. And they had just casually mentioned it to me. They were like, yeah, we were going down to this place, and on the way, you would not believe the number of tanks we saw
In Jordan.
in Jordan. You would not believe the number of tanks we saw. It was like football field after football field of tanks. And then when we came back the next day, or a few hours later, they were all gone. It was crazy. And I thought to myself,
What's going to happen?
they're like, they didn't want Nehemia to go anywhere.
And it could be that they didn't want me to see the tanks amassed in a certain place, then call my cousin or somebody in Israel and say, hey,
And that's
Jordan has 122 tanks in this field here, right? I don't know, right?
And with all
Or it
of
could be they
this-
wanted to kidnap me. And because I don't know.
Nehemia,
Yeah.
just 1 second,
Are you okay, Joe?
just 1 sec.
All right.
All right.
I
Okay.
just want to say, Nehemia and Linnell, I saw your live in the middle of the night. And so by the time I saw it, it was 8 o'clock and I knew the border was opening. And I'm like, okay, we need to pray for Nehemia and Linnell crossing the border right now. And Joe's like, what? They're
Thank
crossing
you
the
for
border? I
praying.
said, yeah. They slept in the car overnight.
Okay, you guys,
I don't know that there was actually any sleep involved.
you guys go ahead.
I might have dozed off for 30 seconds while I was smelling the pizza, but yeah.
Tell us, Joe.
Or you guys can go ahead and talk. I'm still here in Jordan and very naive, very naive to a lot of these things. But I'm still here. We're going to be leaving on Monday. Again, so there's somebody bringing something up to the room. So I just want to, just for a moment while anyway, it's not here
Sure.
yet.
So we'll
So-
stop. You'll let me know. You'll give
Yeah,
me
I'll tell you.
the signal like this and I'll stop talking. All right. So, I mean, look, there's more to it, but so we get to the hotel and we check in and Linnell in the meantime is calling we have to check in. It says on the piece of paper, you can go from the border to the hotel. And then on Monday, you can go from the hotel to the airport and then from the airport to the other airport in Amman. So I can't, if you want to have dinner out at a restaurant, I'm not allowed to, like, I've got a minder who he's committing to the government. I'm not going to any of those places. And that I'm staying in the hotel for 3 days or whatever it was, 3 nights.
And I'm sitting there thinking, wow, okay, so this is why I didn't get to go out on Friday. Jehovah's planned for me to meet with Nehemia on Friday. This is great. All right, yes. And boom, you come in here and
So we check into the hotel while Linnell is, because we have to. Meanwhile, Linnell is trying to see, can I get a flight out today before
No, I said to Nehemia, we are not staying. We're going.
Right, but you're trying to get a flight,
But
maybe
you can,
might not have a
but
choice.
here's the thing, you cannot go to the airport without a confirmed flight for that day. Okay, you have to and you can only come. They told me we had to be there 3 hours early. They don't even let you check in till like an hour before your flight. But I was trying to get 4 tickets. You saw, Joe, while I was there. They had 6 tickets online. And I had reserved 4 to pay for them. When I went to check out, it wouldn't check out. So I called them and I said, I can't check out. Can you help me? And they're like, you only have 2 seats. So I said to the people that were with us, I'm taking Nehemia out of here.
and those 2 people, I went to look for them. They bugged out. I didn't know that, but you said they went to Saudi Arabia that same day.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's yes.
They were not
No.
Israeli citizens, needless to say.
No, but now you got me spinning here and I'm thinking, what's going on? Because have I made the right decision? Am I doing things right? And what have I missed? What don't I see? And then you leaned into me, Nehemia, and you said something. Do you remember that?
Remind me what I said. A lot happened.
Well, Linnell was on the phone and you couldn't talk to her. She was in, I'm getting out of here mode. And so, and you looked at me and said, whatever she said, we're doing. And I get it. But then you leaned into me and you told me what was about to happen in Gaza. Can we say that or not?
I mean, that was public information even at that point.
But I didn't know that. I didn't know that. And Friday is the day of rage when everyone is coming to the Temple Mount to the Alaska Mosque. And all these people all around the world are starting to mount up. And I didn't know about it. And they're starting to do the same thing in Amman, Jordan, which is one of the places we were thinking maybe we should go and stay there.
Yeah, no, that would not be a good idea.
No,
So look, the Hamas had a plan which didn't materialize the way they hoped it would materialize. They hoped that an Israeli policeman trying to defend his life would shoot some Palestinian terrorist dead in the Al-Aqsa Mosque, and they would say it was a 16-year-old boy, which it was, but he was trying to kill a soldier. Right? They would spin it somehow. They hoped that would happen, and it would set off the entire Muslim world to attack not just Israel, but American interests and Western interests in general, right? This is part of, that's part of a broader objective they have. So there were attacks around the world. I saw on CNN, they said, someone killed a language teacher, but if you read if you read the details, it was a jihadi. Who was a foreigner trying to learn French so he could get French, citizenship or whatever, or with their equivalent of a green card, and he murdered his teacher. Why? Because she was nearby, right?
Yeah.
Why? And he was responding to this call from the Hamas to have a day, what they call a day of rage. So but it was just some coincidence they killed somebody, right? They're such liars in social media. It's astounding.
So again, ladies and gentlemen,
Yeah,
we're in the fog, what you call the fog of war. There's so much information coming. What's true? What's not true? Where do we go? How do we do this? And the decision making that you have to make is, I don't know if I'm doing the right thing. The whole time I don't, and I'm speaking, I think for you two as well. Are we doing the right thing? And now you guys come across, you're spooked, and I don't know why. And then you tell me, it was public news that you leaned into me and said they're about to flatten Gaza.
well, so what the Israeli army had announced was that all the Palestinians living north of this creek, river, whatever they call it, Nahal Aza in Hebrew, it has some name in Arabic, I don't remember. Everyone living north of that line needs to go south that line, and if you don't, we're not responsible if you die in a bombing or so what Hamas does is they literally have a headquarters in the basement of Shifa Hospital, SHIFA, you can Google it. They literally have rocket sites inside of mosques, inside of schools, inside of kindergartens. Why? Because they want to draw the Israeli fire. Or the Israelis who act morally will say, okay, I'm being attacked from there, but I can't, I don't want to hit a mosque because I'll set off the entire Muslim world.
They have to put the Israeli people in a negative light, even though they started it. Nehemia said to me the night they started the missile attacks against us, he said, you wait, in less than a week, because we respond to this, they will make us out to be the bad guys.
Yeah.
And he's totally right.
BBC didn't even wait a week. BBC, it was immediate. They refused to use the word terrorist. Maybe they've used it now, but it was an international story that the King of England was calling this a terrorist attack, but BBC refused to call it a terrorist attack. Which they burned babies, and you can't call it a terrorist attack.
They
beheaded babies.
Can you tell people what took place? Because they need to know. And I've been saying it to them. What do I know? Joe's full of crap. Nobody believes him. Can you tell them what took place a week ago today?
So on October 7th, some in the Israeli media are calling it Black Sabbath. It was a Shabbat. It was also, for most Jews, it was being observed as what they call Simchat Torah, the joy of the Torah, when they complete the reading cycle of the Torah and start a new one. And at 6:30 in the morning, yes, they also call it Simchat Torah in Israel. So it's anyway. So 6:30 in the morning, they start firing rockets, and this was a coordinated attack that they have now admitted. They've not admitted, they've bragged is something they planned for 2 years. So they'll say, oh, it's because some Jews went up to pray on the Temple Mount or something. No, they planned this for 2 years. They trained for 2 years.
They trained right in front of the IDF.
Right. Well, and they've really planned this for, they said, for the last, since they got into power, they said we were pretending to be a civil administration that wanted to rule Gaza, but this was our objective all along. And this specific scenario they've been training for 2 years. And it was reported on the Israeli media. So people knew they were training, but the Israeli media has now admitted, well, we didn't really take it seriously. We reported it as some kind of like, they're doing these training operations where they're rushing in and binding people's hands and taking them away on motorcycles. It's ridiculous, right? They knew about it, but it wasn't taken seriously, unfortunately. So this was a coordinated attack. They started out the attack with rockets, and the Israeli standard operating procedure is when there's rockets, there's a siren. It's actually called a red alert. And there's a voice that says, Tseva Adom, very calmly, which means color red, color red. In some places, there might also be a siren. And so we go into the bomb shelters, and we have these bomb shelter rooms called a mamad in every apartment. And most importantly, there are these forward bases that protect Israel from an invasion from Gaza. And the people on those bases went into their bomb shelter rooms. So while they're in the rooms, immediately, I suppose, they start coming over on these paragliders. It's like a hang glider with a little motor. They've been training for that for 2 years. And so they land on these bases and start throwing grenades and using RPGs against the soldiers who are in these protective rooms and these bomb shelters, and they wipe out a significant portion. I spoke to one person who said half of Golani is dead. Golani, just to give you some idea, is one of the elite forces. Now, I don't know if that number is accurate, but this is what somebody who's involved in the fighting told me. It's one of the elite forces.
It's like our
Israel.
special forces.
No, it's actually more like the 101st Airborne, I think.
Well,
I think that's a
yeah.
better analogy. There are like smaller, like elite things that are like, the Delta Force. No, this is like the 101st Airborne.
For
So
all of
they-
you to understand this a bit better, take your 19-year-old son or grandson or 22-year-old son or granddaughter. That's who got wiped out here.
Right.
These are the soldiers that are on the front line. Put your own kids in those faces. And that's what I want you to understand. So, sorry, carry on, Nehemia.
Let me tell a survival story and then I'm gonna go take a bath.
Okay.
You want me to?
Sure, please.
So I'm gonna give you a story of one of the people that were on that day, what happened to them.
Linnell has met with those, like we said, on Thursday, the day we fled. I said to Joe, isn't there, when I met him in Aqaba on Friday morning, I said, I'm living the New Testament verse, may you not have to flee on the Sabbath. Did I say that, Joe? Something like that.
When you said that to me, it rung me,
Because I realized I was going to be flying on Shabbat. I don't usually fly on Shabbat.
You don't ever.
There's people working, and I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to travel on a day. I don't want people to work for me. But I was fleeing for my life.
Yeah.
So that morning, that whole day, Linnell had spent with the survivors, and the whole thing with helping them with glasses. So this isn't something she heard about on the media. This is something they told you, right?
Yeah, this is
Okay.
a story that I've got a lot of stories. What we had done the day before is we had gone out and collected and bought and purchased things that the army needed and things that people needed. And I had taken the clothes that I had in Israel and put them in a bag, along with the shoes and everything that survivors might need. And then when I got down to the Dead Sea, there was like this whole ballroom that had set up, and it would look like a used clothing store if you've ever been in one of those. It looked like a huge used clothing store that the survivors could come in and get what they needed. And what I did was I sat around and interviewed people all day while they did the glasses. I'm just going to tell you one story because we haven't even we literally just got home. I've been in the same clothes for 45
This
hours.
is a shirt. I went into the bathroom and took off my shirt and
Yeah,
put this on in Aqaba.
There was a lady.
And I changed my underwear too in Aqaba.
They got up in the morning to the sirens, went into their mamad.
Mamad is like a bomb shelter room within your house or apartment.
And they had told the citizens there, because they're right on the border, last year or sometime in the last year, to go to make sure you have a lock on that door. And they had done that. They put a lock on that door.
But most people didn't, because why would you need a lock? You're being protected from rockets.
And so that lock saved their lives. And let me tell you why. Because they woke up, they ran into their mamad, and they heard their next door neighbor screaming. She was screaming her husband's name. And she came running and screaming over to the neighbor's house, their neighbor, they were the neighbors, screaming, they've taken him, they've taken him. And they had taken zip ties and tied his hands together. And the wife had escaped and run over, and they let her in the safe room and they locked it. And they heard screams and they heard fire, they heard machine gun, gunfire. And then the pretend soldiers, the terrorists, came into their house and tried to get them to open the door that was locked. And they said, we won't hurt you. We just need you to open the door. And they were talking in an accent that they knew that it wasn't the army, even though they were dressed as the soldiers, as the IDF.
So when Arabs speak Hebrew, most of them have an accent that you can immediately identify if you're familiar with it. And particularly it's the way they pronounce the letter Resh, is they kind of roll their Resh and Israelis don't. Or if they do, it's in a different way.
And so they tried to get them to open it, and when they didn't, they bombed the door with whatever it was. There was a huge explosion, but the door did not give.
Remember, this is a bomb shelter. So what do we mean by a bomb shelter room? So in 1990, we were attacked by Saddam Hussein with Scud missiles, and they passed the law.
Hang on, Nehemia, 1 sec.
Okay. Everybody, this is Gwenny Penguin. She's a bit traumatized.
Gwenny Penguin is adorable. She is an emotional support animal. She does not
and if
know
you
that
think
she's
that's a
stuffy.
joke, she's actually registered with the US government as my emotional support animal.
For real.
And when I go through customs or security at the airport, I show them my little card I have.
There's a complete ID, and we do it to amuse the TSA officers, and they always have
They
a
love
great
it.
laugh. And Nehemia does it sometimes with American Airlines and stuff, and wherever we're flying.
And
We're
I was in
to
airport
go.
a few. All right, done.
We're
Okay.
good?
All right. So they've got
Enough
these
of the
bomb
penguin,
shelter.
you're good to go.
So every housing unit built after 1993, whether it's a house or an apartment, most people live in apartments, has to have a room, which is just like a regular bedroom, except the walls are the walls you would have in a bomb shelter. And there's a blast window and a blast door. Now you never close those, because when do you ever need to close those? Unless you get attacked by rockets. If you live on the border there, I guess that does happen quite a bit. My sister, who lives in a suburb of Jerusalem, she has never closed those doors or windows until this last
She had never
situation.
locked her house
Right.
in her life
Right.
until then.
Until just
But
now.
they tried to get these 4 adults in there to open the door. They went in at 6:30, remember? They didn't have a toilet. They didn't have water. They had nothing in there. They didn't get out until 2:30 in the morning, when the army came to rescue them. When the army came to rescue them and they spoke in Hebrew, they knew who it was. They opened the door, and right in front of the door was an RPG, unexploded.
That's a rocket propelled grenade.
So they'd heard all these, and the whole house was trashed. There wasn't a piece of glass that wasn't broken in that whole house. And they were there to get glasses because they had not stopped to get their glasses. And when they came out of the bomb shelter, because there was an explosive right there, the army guys told them, just leave, just go out, and we're going to take care of you.
And by the way, the fact that there was an unexploded RPG means the terrorists tried to blow open the door with an RPG. And would that have worked? I don't know. I'm not an explosives expert.
Well,
but
other
it
people
might have.
weren't so lucky.
One of the things they did in a lot of houses was they They took a tire and they set it on fire. And a lot of people died from the smoke.
A lot of people died.
There was a reporter from ITV News who was taken into Kibbutz Kfar Aza, which is one of the towns that was not just attacked, it was actually conquered by Hamas for like 12 or 18 hours. And and anyway, and she was told by one of the officers there that they had removed the bodies of at least 40 babies, some that were beheaded. And it was insane. I was on a live on TikTok or something, and people like, oh, that's already been refuted. That's been debunked. First of all, nobody
Yeah.
debunked it. And
I
now
got a bunch of people saying the same thing to me, but they
Yeah.
took the news cameras or the news outlets
yeah,
and brought them all in, said, made them look at it,
Yeah.
made them see it, so that they could not deny it. And then I got one story on CBS, I think it was, that I posted on Telegram. To show that it's real.
it's real. It's real. So we have, I mean, think about this. I'll just tell you my perspective. As a Jew, I've encountered Holocaust deniers for the last, I don't know, 20 years. And you think these guys are crazy. Like, like I've spoken to so many, I've heard of, and I've even spoken to survivors, and I've been to the camps. How can, like, this is one of the best documented things in history. And now we have a modern day genocide, which has taken place in our times. And we have the deniers popping up in real time within days. And they're being shown photos of it, and they're denying it.
Yeah.
And so I was telling you what happened with the opera. I see Michelle has a question, but wait a minute here. I want to finish this. This is what happened. So they sent in their initial force to take out the soldiers in the bases. And those were actually around a force of about 200. And the second wave was maybe people who were, less well trained, but they were trained in how to kidnap people and how to burn people and how to cut babies' heads off and cut their throats. And that was possibly as many as another 1,300 terrorists came into the country.
Yeah.
Now, how did they get in? Well, it's because they took out the soldiers, and they also took out the cameras using the Ukraine tactic of some kind of explosive attack to a what do you call that? A drone. And there's going to be investigations after this war, and heads are going to roll, in this case figuratively, not literally. But I'm quite sure that anybody who is senior in the political or military establishment is going to have to resign. Some may even be prosecuted for negligence. I don't know. Now is not the time to worry about that. Certainly the people in the military might be dead by the time that happens. The most, so it was a complete failure on Israel's side, but it wasn't 100% failure. There are a lot of heroic stories. There was an invasion by sea that took place. They were going to land something like 100 terrorists on the beach in Ashkelon, and that could have killed another 2,000 people, maybe more. Ashkelon's a city with 50,000 people, something like that. I don't know the number, but tens of thousands of people. That invasion was stopped by the Israeli air and naval forces, and they just put out a video of it. It's a harrowing battle. They're throwing depth charges, like hand tossed depth charges, because there's underwater commandos that they've detected, and they're doing this while they're taking fire from the sea, and while they're taking fire from these what do they call them, paragliders. It's a little hang glider with the motor. So those were coming after the Israeli naval forces. So that was a miracle that was averted. A miracle. It's a miracle that massacre was averted. That would have been another at least 2,000 dead. It's a huge major city. There were other situations where the Israeli military came in and they was wiped out. Like I said, half of Golani may be dead, according to what one person told me. I got a call in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
From
Ladies and gentlemen, Nehemia's been up for 48 hours plus
yeah,
and running for his life. And even when I met him here, I was very naive as to what was going on. And since he's been talking, I'm shaking here like a leaf, thinking I'm in total control, and I have no control at all. And I'm in your debt, sir. Thank you for coming, but I don't want to keep you because I know you're tired.
I'm rambling right now, and I'll finish in a few minutes.
No, you can ramble as long as you want
So,
here.
and I ramble on a good day. I've been up now for 3 days. Oh my God, like 50, 60 hours. I mean, I've slept for like maybe 5 hours or on and off on the last flight. But I've had like 5 hours of sleep maybe in the last 2.5 days. Since I woke up Thursday morning. I don't even know what day it is now. I mean, it's Shabbat, but so I get a call in the middle of the night. I want to say it was Wednesday. No, it was after. I don't remember when it was. I get a call in the middle of the night. Well, no, actually, first I get a message that I see. I'm like looking at my Facebook. I usually don't even look on Facebook. If you write me a message on Facebook, that's a great way for me never to see your message. Send me an email. But I get a message on Facebook that I happen to see, or maybe it was somewhere else. I on some social media, I have a message from a friend I haven't heard from in a number of years. And she says, my son is in a combat unit and his friends are being killed left and right. And they don't have the bulletproof vests that they need and a bunch of other equipment that they need. So his brother, my other son, said he'll go buy that equipment just on the market, right? Just go to a store and buy it. But his credit card isn't working. Can you send him money? Now, this sounds like a textbook scam, right? If ever this was, I mean, and there's scam, and this is happening constantly where people say donate money and it's a scam. It happens all the time. So I said, I'm happy to do that, but I have to hear your voice to know that this is really you. And I'm not just going to hear this voice. I'm going to ask something that only this person would know, right? Because today they could fake the voices with AI. So I talked to this old friend, and then I talked to her son, and yeah, they're involved in a mission that they weren't prepared for, and they're only involved in it because the other forces have been wiped out, and they had to rush people in who weren't ready, weren't properly equipped for that, and they've got to go buy their own equipment. So I send this person immediately, send this person a significant amount of money, and am I going to get it back? I think I don't care, right? It's saving lives. I end up getting it Venmo'd or something to me, later, but doesn't matter. That there's lives at stake here, and I can help. Look, on that note,
Before you do that note,
Yeah.
you've already, from what I'm hearing, you've already got something set up to help.
Right.
Can you post a link or tell people where to find
Yeah,
that?
so
they can
let me go
help
pull the
you?
link, because I don't even remember. I mean, I don't know the link off the top of my head, right? It's on nehemiaswall.com. It's pinned to the top. So
If you want to help, go to nehemiaswall.com, nehemiaswall.com.
I'm posting it here in the chat. So we have a link there, and if you click on it, it says survivors of the Hamas genocide, and it says here we've raised $44,336. Michael Rood's Ministry of Rood Awakening is involved in raising the money as well, and they've already, I don't know what they've raised, but they've already sent us $20,000, and so that's $64,000 that we've raised for the survivors. It's going to a nonprofit organization run by Yehuda Glick. Rabbi Yehuda Glick is one of the most people with the highest integrity I've ever met in my life. That's why I trust him to manage the funds that come in. He told me before Shabbat, I was on the plane, I think I was somewhere, maybe in the airport, and I was messaging him, and he said, we've already used some of the money that you've sent over, and it's really helping a lot of people. So we've already sent them, well, as of, let's see, $45,000 have already been forwarded towards the organization out of that 64. Bear in mind, we don't actually have that 64 yet. You know, you donate it, and then it takes sometimes 2 or 3 days for it to process through the you know, the processing system, right? There's a way to wire it where you get it instantly. Like when I sent that money to the people to the woman's son, I wired it and he had it the next day. So look, we're not keeping a penny of this money. In fact, it's costing us because there are processing fees. We don't care. Every penny is going to go to those survivors. And this is literally the survivor of a genocide. I've learned about this thing in history. I learned about, like, one of the things I've been working on since 2019 is this collection of manuscripts in the State Library in Berlin. It's called the Erfurt Collection, E-R-F-U-R-T. Erfurt is a town in Germany where there was a large Jewish community. And on March 21st, 1349, they were wiped out in a single day by an attack. It was during the time of the Black Plague, and they were blamed for causing the deaths of the Black Plague. And so the Christian community around them got together and wiped them out. And like, that's just one example that I've been working on since. And why am I working on it? So it's actually really, like, totally on a side point, it's a really interesting example, because we usually don't have Torah scrolls that survive from the Middle Ages. And that's because Torah scrolls are so valuable and expensive, they're used until they're completely worn out. And then they'll sometimes be repaired. And so by the time you get a Torah scroll in the 21st century, it's kind of like that, you know, the old joke about the axe. You know, this is the axe that Abraham Lincoln used to chop down the cherry tree. I replaced the head and I replaced the handle, but it occupies the same space, right? It's an old American joke. I don't know who told it. So is it the same axe? Well, so by the time you get a Torah scroll in the 21st century, it's very rare to have a complete Torah scroll from, you know, 700 years ago. The Erfurt collection, due to the fact the Jews were wiped out, and then the scrolls were kept in a monastery until the 19th century, and then went to the Prussian library and whatever, today is the State Library of Berlin. So they're actually in almost perfect condition from the 13th and 14th century. And we have a specific date after which we know no Jew made any changes, which is March 21st, 1349. So it actually gives you like a photo in time. So, like, I learn about these things in history and they feel kind of hypothetical, right? And now we've seen it happen. This is what it looks like. It looks like going door to door, cutting throats, cutting off heads, burning babies. When they say free Palestine, after last Saturday, let's put it that way, what they mean is burn 8 million. Someone Google for me how many Jews live in Israel. I'll Google it. I don't know the exact number. Live in Israel. Let's see. This is give or take, right? It says here 6.8 million Jews. I don't know if that's true. I know, Joe, that's from your favorite source, Wikipedia, right? So let's give or take, right? Let's say it's 8 million. Let's say I don't know what the number is. I thought the population of Israel was 9 million, right? So, and then there's a million or two Arabs. So whatever the number is, let's call it 6 million. That's interesting now that I think about it. So there's 6 or 7 million Jews in Israel. When they say free Palestine, and more for sure, when they say from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free, that means kill 6.8 million Jews, including 1 million babies. Somebody says here the population is 9.73 million. Jews make up the majority, about 7.15 million. Yeah, call it 6 or 7 million. I don't know the number. They want to kill 6 or 7 million Jews. They want to burn the babies, cut the heads off. They want to rape the women. They captured one of the terrorists. And they inherit. What's that?
We posted it on Telegram, but go ahead.
Okay, so you've seen this. So they captured one of the terrorists and they said to him, and they interrogated him, and they said, and I presume the part they showed was not the part where they were waterboarding him.
No,
That's the part that they meaning the part that we get to see is when he's already been broken, and he knows, if I don't talk, I'm gonna go back to what was happening before. They said, why did you kidnap those women? And he said, he said we wanted to rape them. There was a woman who was called up from her daughter's cell phone by a terrorist in Gaza, and he says, I have your daughter, I've already raped her, and I'm going to murder her. That's what free Palestine means. That's what from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free means. And when BLM, Black Lives Matter, whatever you think about that, right? When they post a picture of the paraglider and they say, we stand with Hamas, we stand with Palestine, they mean they want babies, Jewish babies, to be burned. When they talk about decolonization, you know what it means now. Decolonization means we want to burn babies. We want to cut throats. We want to rape women. Where are all the Me Too people? I want to know where all the Me Too people are. And look, they had a valid point, right? We could disagree about politics and everything. But yeah, there's women who have been abused, right? This is something that's happened, and they wanted to bring awareness to it. Not when it's Jewish women. They're, oh no, we don't want to talk about that. We want to criticize Israel. That's what they want to do.
he wants to go around and say, I'm Israel, I'm Israel. I forget I can't even say it in Hebrew. I don't know. Everyone wants
Ani
to go.
Israel.
What?
Ani Israel.
Yeah.
I am
And
Israel.
they want to go around and see all the stuff in Jerusalem. They want to go around and see all this stuff in where Jesus walked. They want to go around and see all this stuff that is only being preserved by Judah. Anything that's from the historical perspective that the Arabs find, they try and destroy it. Like Joshua's altar, they're trying to destroy it,
Yeah.
to erase the memory that there were ever any Jews in this land. The Philistines means invaders. Exactly what these people in Gaza were doing.
Look, I read this. I read this morning.
Sorry, go
I
ahead.
read this morning from Israel's Declaration of Independence, and I needed to. I was on the airplane and I got Wi-Fi. I'm like, okay. And
Yeah, you tell me from the airplane. I said, how do you do that?
Yeah, well, you pay money and you get access to it wasn't on Qatar Airlines, it was like $10. I'm like, okay, it's a 16.5-hour flight. I'm paying the $10 to keep from going nuts. So I was reading Israel's Declaration of Independence, and I read parts of it before. I wanted to make sure I was remembering it correctly. There's an appeal to the Arab residents of the land of Israel to participate in the state and be full and equal members with all full rights. It's right there in the Declaration of Independence. They'll talk about Israel as an apartheid state. Apartheid means that by law, there are second-class citizens. Now, when Jews lived in Muslim countries, that was an apartheid state. Jews and Christians were by law second-class citizens in Muslim countries for 1,400 years. In Israel, Arab citizens of Israel have full rights. They are full citizens. We have an Arab member in the Supreme Court of Israel, right? So, and I'm proud of that. You know, we live in a world where if we have minorities, they should be treated with dignity and respect. I believe that. But if they want to kill you, that's a different story. And look, Hamas rules Gaza. Gaza is not part of Israel, meaning it's part of Eretz Yisrael, the land of Israel. But as the modern political entity of Israel, the state of Israel, Gaza is not ruled by Israel. We don't collect taxes in Israel. We don't administer the roads. We don't. The only thing we do is prevent them from bringing in weapons, and apparently not that well. But we at least have prevented them from bringing in tanks and fighter aircraft. Well, because I wouldn't be alive right now if we hadn't. So we don't rule Gaza. Gaza is ruled by Hamas. why do we give them water and electricity? And that's, I don't know, they can get their own water. We have to desalinate water. They can desalinate water too. They dig wells. I know they do. So, yeah, we're dealing here with evil people. I mean, somebody who burns babies, who rapes women, and then is proud of it, is evil. It's just evil.
Do you guys understand now? Like, I've been trying to explain some of this stuff as it's happened. I'm not the best on the spot reporter. I'm not trying to be the on the spot reporter, but I am trying to understand the times that we are living in. I'm trying to get to understand. I didn't expect Nehemia to come on here. I certainly didn't expect him to explain all this. He hasn't slept for 2 days. I want to thank you for doing this.
Yeah, thanks, Joe.
But
Thanks for having me on. Look, and I just came from the airport.
an hour and a half ago, 2 hours ago.
Yeah, something like that. So we didn't tell you about when we got to Amman. And well, actually, when we got to the airport in Aqaba, they're like, but you're not supposed to leave the hotel for 3 days. What are you doing here? And they have to call their boss and say, are we allowed to let him get on a plane to Amman? He's supposed to be in the hotel in Aqaba. He's not supposed, right? We have a paper that says that. And finally, they're like, okay, he has a ticket to leave the country. We're gonna let him go. So then I get to Amman and we go through the same thing again. They're like, what are you doing in Amman? You're not allowed to be in Amman today. It says you're in Aqaba in a hotel for 3 days. What are you doing in Amman? Well, I'm trying to get on a flight to Qatar, to Doha. Yeah, but you're not allowed to be in Amman. And it wasn't clear that they were going to let me go.
I didn't know any of this.
Yeah. And we knew that this was going to be a problem when we were going to go to the airport, because we knew that what that piece of paper said, that we were not going to, because that was the reason I didn't have the guy following me for 3 days, because I had told him, yeah, I'm just going to stay in the hotel for 3 days, which was my plan, right? And then by the time we get to the hotel, Linnell's like, no, we're leaving. And I'm like, and I said to you, I'm going to stay in this hotel my real thought is I'm going to stay in the hotel room for 3 days, lock the door, and hope nobody kidnaps me. That was my thought. Linnell's like, no, we're leaving now. We're going to get the first flight. We're going to the airport. We'll camp out at the airport. We're going.
In my naivety and my ignorance, I thought you're kidding, and
I was not kidding.
no, and I didn't. Really
so I was not. I was on edge until the plane took off from Amman. Now, what I didn't tell my wife the whole time was that Hamas headquarters outside of Gaza is in Doha, Qatar, where we were flying to. And I don't know if I land there and somebody in Aqaba who knows I'm Israeli calls up his friend in Doha, because they knew where I was going. They knew exact flight I was going. I showed them the flight, or they wouldn't even let me into Jordan. Okay, you're leaving Jordan. When are you leaving Jordan? How are you leaving? Oh, you're flying to Doha in this flight. Okay. So I don't know if they're going to call up and, then we change the flight, right? But then I'm showing this document and they're like, okay, now you're flying now instead of Monday. I don't know if one of those guys didn't call up his friend in Doha and said, hey, you could pick this guy up and hold him. You can. So until the flight took off from Doha, Qatar,
when you guys,
I don't know if I'm getting out or not.
When you guys told me you're going to Doha, I said, what kind of crazy is going on here? Because I had an opportunity to go to Doha, and I said, no, I'm not going further into the oven here. I'm going to go the other way. But the other way was, I don't know, a 48-hour flight, zip-zag and back and forth. And I just didn't, I'm getting old. You're getting old too, but
Yeah.
I didn't think we could hack it. So I just said, okay, I can get a straight flight to London at a good price, but I'm not going to Doha. And then you say you're going to Doha. And I said, why is he going to Doha? He's already freaking out here about a man. This ain't right. But by that point, I knew enough to shut up. And
There was
to
a
get-
second option, Joe, but it was through Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. And
Yeah.
I kind of felt safer going through Doha than through, I don't really know enough about Addis Ababa.
I've been there.
Yeah, I don't know anything about it, and I'm like, that's an unknown quantity. Let's go to the one through Doha. That would from as soon as we leave Doha, we're on a flight to Dallas, and then once we're in the air, anything could happen, of course. Look, I don't know if they're going to start blowing up airplanes. There's a day of rage, right? I don't know. Like, you say, did I make the right decision? Look, I'm going to end with this, okay? Because I got to go take a shower and
Yeah.
and rest. Well, I want to say two things. One is my nephew, who is in a frontline combat unit. He was called up. He was in Italy. I did a video with him. You can see it on my TikTok channel. I think it's also on my Facebook page. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they put it there. So my nephew, he messages me. He says, "You're going to Jordan? Jordan is a dangerous country. You shouldn't go there." He said it's 85% Palestinian. If they find out you're a Jew, they're going to kill you. This is as we're driving down to Eilat to cross over into Aqaba. My nephew, who's in a frontline combat unit, he's engaging these terrorists. I'm not going to say exactly what he's doing, but whatever. He's engaging terrorists. Let's put it that way. He's telling me I'm going to a dangerous place, and he's worried about me. And that was before all this happened at the border. That's kind of the background context of, they're registering exactly where I am and making sure I stay in that exact spot. And my nephew, who's in the combat unit, who I'm literally praying for dozens of times a day. I have two nephews on the combat units. This is the older one. And he's telling me he's worried about me going to Jordan. I'm like, okay, this is bad. Once they tag me and they're tracking me, and I got to get out of here. So yeah, this has been an intense 60 plus hours. I mean, it's been an intense last week, but like you heard my wife say, it's only been a week.
It's only been a week, but it's been an intense week, and
I feel like I've lived a lifetime in this last week, and then I want to go back to history.
But like you said, your nephew and your sister's sons and the other people that I've met, it's not over yet, and it won't
No,
be
it's
over for a
not.
long time.
This is what they live with. This is their lives. I mean, so Linnell was, when we arrived in Dallas, she got an email from the State Department saying they could get us out in the next few days.
I just got one from the Canadian Embassy here yesterday or the day before. I forget what day. Same thing, but
and it said in the email she got that you can also bring your relatives with you, even if they're not U.S. citizens. And Linnell said to me, "We can get out your nephews and nieces and your sisters and their husbands." And I'm like, okay, all except for 3 of them are U.S. citizens. They could leave, but this is where they live. They're not. We were visiting, and I lived in Israel for 20 years too, but in the last 10 years I've lived in Texas, except for a year in China.
Remind Joe that the night he came to dinner with us,
Yeah.
when we left.
Yeah.
One of the nephews he met was the one that we took food to.
Yeah, remember my nephew who is on guard duty at the front gate.
Yeah.
He's in a frontline combat unit now. I think the other nephew was there too, wasn't he? He was having dinner with us, the real muscular one.
Yeah, I remember them.
So
They've been all been in my prayers here every day. I can't stop thinking about them.
thank you. It means a lot to me. Everybody, I'm gonna end with a prayer, okay? Otherwise, I'll never stop talking because I'm kind of. He never gets like so tired that you're overtired and you're kind of like wired on adrenaline or whatever it is. I said to Linnell, I haven't felt this way since I did my undergraduate degree at Hebrew University, and I would have a paper I had to write after the end of a year-long course, and like 3 days before the deadline, I would start writing the paper, and I would work for 72 hours straight until the deadline and get that paper done. That's what I feel like now. I haven't felt this way since the 90s. So I'm going to end with a prayer. Yehovah Avinu Shabbat Shamayim, Yehovah our Father in heaven, Shema Yisrael, Yehovah Eloheinu, Yehovah Echad. Hear, O Israel, Yehovah is our God. Yehovah is one. Yehovah, please protect my nephews who are in the combat units. Please protect all of our soldiers who are defending us, who are defending the country, who literally stand between the terrorists and the babies they want to burn, and heads they want to cut off, and women they want to rape. Yehovah, please be with the survivors, be with the kidnapped. Please free the captives, free the kidnapped. Father, be with the people who are in the hospitals who are recovering from their wounds. And Father, be with the leaders all around the world. Give them the wisdom that they need to support Israel, and give the leaders in Israel the wisdom they need to defend the country from these genocidal murderers. I ask this in your holy name, Yehovah. Amen.
Amen.
All right, guys, please keep praying. Really means a lot to me.
Thank you so much, Nehemia,
All
for
right.
coming here, doing this, and I know you're tired.
Yeah.
Thank
Shalom.
Thank you, Nehemia.
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to end the video here now. I'm shaking, okay, because there's a lot of decisions that I made out of ignorance, never even had a clue about. So do keep them in prayer. Do keep all these young men in prayer. I'll come back and try and finish this explanation. Maybe I'll get a PowerPoint together on it. I'm going to be traveling the better part of this week, so I don't know if I'll get a newsletter out again next week. Those of you listening, this teaching today is Nehemia's. Take it and share it. Let the world know what's going on in Israel. Let the world know there are barbarians on the loose. I got people telling me you're praying for the death of all the good people in Gaza. Jehovah is the judge, and he will save the good people. If there are any, he'll save them. But right now, there's a whole Nazi regime there that needs to be wiped out now before they get bigger. But what I understand about prophecy is they're going to get bigger, and this is going to go worldwide. And when I say that to you to pray for your families as well, that's because of what's coming. And Nehemia and I talked about this when we went for his Erev Shabbat. It was a bit of a joke. It was a bit of a, impromptu thing. Now it's real. Now it's real. The end times have started. This may end in a week, it may end in 2 weeks, it may not. If Yeshua is right, this is just the beginning of what's going to continue until Satan's locked away. The birth pains have started. And I'm not trying to expedite anything or take advantage of what Nehemia said. That's why I want to stop. Pray for Israel, because they're on the front line for all of us. Shabbat Shalom, everyone.